Welcome back to Cubbyhole Conversations. At the end of the last video, I mentioned safety and boundaries, and I just said I was going to record another video, perhaps right after the last one, so I am. Look, I tell all my friends, don't go on a hike by yourself, don't go walking by yourself, don't go in the forest by yourself. Like, there's things that just aren't the best idea to do by yourself, and there are ways to prepare for that. Like if you're going to go in the forest by yourself, then you need to have the radio to contact civilization, like not your phone, because that's not going to work out in the middle of DNR land. So you need to have like Spot or one of those. You need to have a system for calling the people to come get you if you have a problem. You need to tell people where you're going and when you're going to be back. You need to tell them when you're going, where you're going, and when you're going to be back. You need to probably carry bear spray, or you need to carry pepper spray, or you need to carry a firearm or whatever, right? You go in prepared, but you learn that preparation. You don't just go out there and go into the forest by yourself. You also carry a backpack. You have water with you. You have food. You have, what's that thing called? The emergency blanket, right? You have a first aid kit. You go out with the tools you need. And at this point in life, he's still learning those tools for, safe internet. And so you're not at a point in order to go out into the forest by yourself. You haven't learned all the different tools that you need to take into the forest. Now, do we let him do some of it? Yes. But anyway, the point is that we all have put it, as adults, we've all put in safety mechanisms. If you haven't, maybe you should think about this too. Right? So it's not just about hiking in the woods, but if you can't stay out of sugar when it's in your house, don't bring it in your house. That's your safety mechanism. Or if you can control it when someone else is in charge of it, then you can pick something at the store, bring it home, give it to the person who's in charge of it, and tell them, I'd like one of these a day. There are people I know who have to do this, and that's okay. Admit your weakness. Get support and move forward in life. Math, for example, I am not great at math. I have worked very hard in the recent years to learn how to do math better. I have dyscalculia. It is a problem when I'm stressed. When I'm not stressed, I do okay. When I'm stressed, I don't do okay. So Jason does the taxes, not me, because that's a pretty big deal if we screw that up. So Jason does the taxes. I do the ledger, though. The ledger's pretty low key. I do the daily, monthly, etc. ledger. I balance the checkbook. I do all of that. Checkbook, ledger, whatever. I make sure we have money in the accounts and where stuff is going. If I can't balance it, if it's not making sense with what the bank is doing, I don't keep just trying to figure it out. Obviously, I've made a mistake somewhere, and I go get Jason and I say, hey, I need your help on the ledger. I can't figure out where I've made this mistake. And 9 times out of 10, it's some piddly little, I switched a 3 and a 6 to a 6 and a 3, which is dyscalculia. I've made some little error typographically, or, I just flipped numbers. Something like that has happened. And Jason spots it and he can figure it out. It's not worth his time to be doing the ledger all the time. He has a full-time job. I need to do the daily stuff. So we work things out and we find our strengths and weaknesses. And sometimes I find the mistake, and sometimes I don't find the mistake. If I can't find the mistake, relatively quickly, that's when I let Jason know, and he comes in and he helps me. So boundaries and safety mechanisms. Safety mechanisms is what I'm talking about now, which is where I went from internet to hiking to admitting your weaknesses. And I think that's kind of the key with safety, is knowing what your risk is, what your risk tolerance is, and when you need help with whatever it is you're talking about. Exercise, maybe that's another example where maybe you should probably have a spotter if you're going to lift that much weight. That might be a good idea. I used to be into weight training and personal training, and the number of accidents that happen because people's pride gets in the way of asking for help, staggering. So know your weaknesses, know your strengths, know your preparedness, know your risk tolerance, know your risks, and ask for help when you need it. So that's safety. Then boundaries, I think a lot of us push our boundaries. And I think that's a good thing, because if we don't push our boundaries, we may never excel beyond our safety zone. So I think pushing boundaries is good. I think authority and pushing boundaries is where we get into trouble. So keeping your boundaries, there are boundaries that you need to set with people in your life. Like, no, my phone is off from, what time does my phone go off? I want to say 9. I think it's 9. I don't know. From 9 o'clock to 6 a.m., my phone is on Do Not Disturb. And the only people that can get through are the people on my 10 favorites list. No offense to everybody else. It's like my parents who are 70 something, right? Like, so it's only those people who can get through in case there's an emergency. That's my boundary. That's my quiet time. That's my no outside interruption time. Now, some of you who know, I have occasionally gotten back on my phone after 9 o'clock to deal with something that was ongoing. I really try not to, because that's my personal boundary. I have a boundary with other people not to contact me after 9 p.m., but my personal boundary is to be off of screens at 9 o'clock. Often it's 8:30, but 9 o'clock is like, I'm done. Shut off, because I just can't handle continued input at that hour at night and still be able to go to sleep. So 9 o'clock's my cutoff. Then there's boundaries like that relate to safety. So, don't go, like, Isaac's not supposed to go outside of the yard without notifying us he's going outside of the yard, because I don't know, I need to know where he's going, So that's like a safety boundary. I'm trying to think of another safety boundary. Stay within the lines on the highway. But we have safety boundaries. And then there's boundaries with other people where there's certain people where I'm like, I'm not going to discuss that with you, because we don't see eye to eye and we don't listen to each other, and it's not a safe space. This is not a topic that we should be talking about. It's not a safe space. There's also boundaries that you might have with people where they'll be requesting more of your time than you're able to give them. And then you have to say, I am only available for this amount of time. So I think there's two huge topics there. There's safety and there's boundaries. And I hope that you guys are kind of getting my point in that. Kind of the bottom line is, you need to know yourself well enough to know what is safe and where are my boundaries. And then you can determine your risk tolerance in both of those areas for safety and boundaries. Anyway, that's about it for me on that topic. If you have any questions or any, things you'd like to point out, or areas where you found safety and boundaries to be a factor in your life, please comment. And be sure to like this video so that more people have an opportunity to see it. And subscribe if you haven't watched Spore Family Adventures. You might want to check that out. Totally different vibe. This is my Cubbyhole conversation, and I hope to see you next time. Take care.